is WINS 1010 Radio. And starting tomorrow, April 19th, WINS will be all news all the time. The first all-news radio station in New York. Right now, you're listening to...
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
We, in effect, were the eyes and ears of the outside world to a lot of people. There were a lot of guys on staff here then who had to walk up 19 floors to get here.
That was the first big test, and we just sat there all night long with a flashlight telling people a story of what was happening. I think that day made us, that night made us, and that's the spirit and the mood that we created then that's persisted for 20 years.
For the times they are changing.
1965 was the beginning of probably one of the most important eras in this country's history. In fact, almost a revolution. We took our heads out of the sand and we started looking around to see what makes up this great democracy.
Good vibration. Good vibration. We can work it out. We can work it out.
Doug Edelson was covering Mayor Lindsay at City Hall. Paul Parker was up at the Americana Hotel with Mike Quill and some of the people up there, and somehow reported that Mike Quill is waiting for Mayor Lindsay to come up and talk with him. Ultimately, they got together because of what they heard on WINS, so we sort of got the two parties together.
Hot town, summer in the city, back of my neck getting dirt and gritty.
We had the Newark riots in '67. We had our own flak jackets, helmets. Got a bottle of orange juice in one hand, a cup or sandwich in the other, and all of a sudden shots come off. Days after that, you dream about it. You hear a noise and it sounds like a shot, you jump a foot.
Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love? Wouldn't you love somebody to love you? I read the news today, oh boy.
One of the things that he said at the time always struck me and a little very eerie. He said, you know, Doug, I don't have much time. And 2 weeks later, the bulletin came in that Martin Luther King had been shot.
Give me a head with hair, long, beautiful hair, shining, gleaming, streaming, flaxen, waxen.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
This is the largest group of people ever assembled in one place. But I think you people have proven something to the world.
They went to the news director and said, look, even if the Mets fall on their faces at the end of the month, it's a great story. So I stayed with the Mets for the rest of the year. It was a joy not only to me as a pro in the business, but as a Mets fan and everything that entails.
I introduced the first Beatles record on WINS in New York, a record called I Want to Hold Your Hand. And the Beatles truly were exciting.
It was not unusual for the Beatles to be up there even when I'd come to work, let's say in the late afternoon. They'd be up there, they'd be sitting around before Murray would go on the air.
Everything is beautiful in its own way.
Freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose.
I spent 6 days up in Attica and felt I spent the next 2 days almost awake. I never got a hotel room.
The first time ever I saw your face, I started singing bye bye Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry.
I am woman, hear me roar, in numbers too big to ignore. And
Bella Abzug was one who could get media attention One night she was supposed to be the guest on the WINS Sunday Night News Conference. About 20 minutes before she arrived, there was a story on United Press. Bella Ebzug said tonight on the WINS News Conference.
When I go round in circles, when they fly high like a bird up in the sky.
My Israeli friends told me in the Mideast War that they probably were better informed in New York than their family back in Tel Aviv by having WINS.
Nothing from nothing leaves nothing.
I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
I'm very surprised to see the two faces of a man like Richard Nixon. The true story still has not come out as to what Watergate was all about.
Whatever gets you through the night, it's all right, it's all right. Bet your money all you like, it's all right, it's all right. Talking, telling me lies, talking, wherever they strike.
I was getting calls from news correspondents that I knew across the country, and that's what they're wondering. When you wake up tomorrow, is there going to be a New York, New York?
The Patty Hearst story, of course, from beginning to end. The fateful shootout and house burning in California. We were more or less nonstop, and in fact, live.
Love will keep us together.
When there's something like a blizzard, they need to listen to find out, are the theater tickets good that night? Do the kids have to go to school? Are they going to be able to get home? Should they leave their car where it is and take a hotel room and stay in the city? That kind of stuff.
They'll be very happy to tell you that they run home and shovel 7.5 inches of partly cloudy.
There's a new kid in Reggie Jackson has hit his third home run of the game.
He's now about 1/3 up the World Trade Center.
Then, of course, you have Ed Koch, who says he'll be mayor for the next 12 or 16 or 20 years. Pick whatever figure you want.
We got a little blurb on the wire, and it said a guy from a marina in Montauk reports that he has hooked a great white shark that's as big as a Cadillac, and that it is towing his boat backwards. So we made this our lead story. By that night, it was the lead story on television. It was the lead story everywhere.
I remember being handed the bulletin, a nuclear incident has taken place. I remember editing the copy in my mind, trying to be very careful about what I said so that I wouldn't create any problems that were already there.
John Lennon was brought to the emergency room. He was dead on arrival.
I went over outside the Dakota. People started singing Beatles songs, this rolling up, across Central Park toward the east side of Manhattan. It was almost an eerie thing, but yet there was something warm about it.
All it was just a break in the wall.
You got to know when to hold up, know when to fold up.
Either to be on the scene or to be working the desk when something huge is happening, like Sadat being shot or Reagan being shot. There's a privilege in hearing about it first and then being the person who turns around and tells the rest of the world.
Working